I guess kind of everything started for me when I was younger. I actually grew up in the church. The brightest part of my youth was being at church. My foundation started good and basically was just kind of torn away from me. I ended up moving to my father's house. My dad had kind of a different approach to life, and I ended up not going to church often, kind of separated from my safe place, if you want to put it that way. Things started occurring at my household. My dad was very aggressive and abusive. Going to church was not even on the radar. As I was being abused, I started abusing others. I would fight all the time. I got kicked out of second grade twice, and I just wanted to go back to my mom and couldn't find a way to get there. And I felt like I was struggling and stuck. And so I did whatever I could to lash out and cause problems. It got to the point to where it was just so bad and toxic. My stepmother was also an alcoholic, and she tried abusing me as well. I ended up telling my dad about it, and he basically, did what he would do to me and beat her up. And that was kind of towards the end of my stay with my dad, because I ended up telling him the last time he actually hit me was, big man hitting a small kid. And he looked shocked, almost like when a dog doesn't understand you and tilts its head a little bit and then just walks away. That's exactly what happened. I believe that was God that stopped him from going any further. That basically was kind of my foundation at that point. I learned how to yell, abuse, and fight at a young age, and it kind of stayed with me through my young adulthood, and ended up turning into a drug addiction, alcoholism, and just basically leaving God at the back door. The one thing that did kind of save me a little bit there was music. I was always blessed with being able to do that, and it kept me safe most of the time, not getting into too much trouble. I ended up auditioning and going to High School of the Arts, which really helped me out. It kept me busy, and I thought that I could probably start living my life through arts, entertainment, music. Unfortunately, I ended up throwing myself into so much that I got introduced to, cocaine. That's kind of what kept me going through the last years of my high school career. I basically had a lot of success with my work, but to hide my pain, I just delved into that more. I ended up continuing after I graduated, worked for a French composer. I moved to Paris for a while. I met just a ton of entertainers. It basically opened up completely wide for me. I would basically use drugs, drink all the time. So while I was playing for some pretty big names, I had no foundation, and my life was a roller coaster. It was like the days never ended. I couldn't get like a good night's sleep. I couldn't have a normal lifestyle. Really didn't have even like a home at the time. I was always either traveling, or I was on a friend's couch, or I was all over the place. I would be in a different state, different country, or back here at home, and sometimes my grandparents' house. It was anxiety 24/7. And I would try to, clean up my act and just do what I was asked to do as far as being a piano player, keyboard player, programmer, recordist, whatever. God has always been speaking to me, and I knew there was a few times where I knew I'd used too much, and I felt like I was really having a struggle. One time, I was leaning up against a wall and just thinking to myself, man, I've done this to myself. This is me doing this to me. It's not my dad. It's not anybody else. And what am I doing? Why did I why did I think this is a good idea? After that point, I knew that I needed to make some lifestyle changes, because going at the rate I was going at, I wouldn't be here right now. One of the things that made me want to make a change was not only because I knew that I wouldn't be living much longer if I continued, but was my wife. My wife was the one person who went through hell and back with me. And she was the one that brought me back to church. I had gone to jail a few times. My drinking got to the point where it was so bad that I would just black out right from the first sip. And my body just couldn't take it anymore. Couldn't use cocaine anymore because everybody could tell my nose wouldn't stop bleeding. And it was a nightmare. My wife was the one who asked me to look into programs. I went to rehab a few times. We left Los Angeles County because I knew too many people there. I had too many connections for, drugs, all my habits. We needed a change of lifestyle, change of pace. And we ended up coming out to Wildomar. Ended up finding CR. I thought it was just another program. And I sat in the back and I thought to myself, I don't know if this is going to be for me. And I showed up because my wife asked me to. And I got kind of interested. And I ended up speaking to Alan, and he invited me for coffee. And we started talking. And CR ended up becoming my new anchor to come back to church. It brought me home. And if it wasn't for my wife, I wouldn't be here at this church right now, because she was the one that inspired me to come back to church and to seek other ways. And because of CR, I found my relationship with Christ again. Jesus made himself very present to me and answered a lot of questions that I had. I pray now every morning, and anytime I have a question or I don't feel right, I pray. And that's the only way I can make it through every day. It's a battle every day, even today. 3 years now it's been for me since I've had a drink, about 6 years for any kind of narcotic. And I am so thankful to God for letting me come home. Thankful for my wife and the Cornerstone family. This place has done more for me than I can ever repay. I would say to anyone that feels like they're out there by themselves, that they have no friends, that their drug is their friend or their drink is their friend, those things will always leave you. And sometimes they'll leave you dead. And it's not a program, it's not a group gathering. It's just that your Father in heaven, call to him. Come home. It's the only thing that works. None of that other stuff works. None of your friends at the bar or at the club or wherever you're going, your band, doesn't matter. None of that matters. It's between you and God. Call to Jesus. He will come help you. He's always been helping you. He was always helping me. Don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on God. Life is so much better. Life is so much better when you talk to Jesus. Don't give up.